Yeah, y'all, you see what's going on at the bottom right there. GOAT, G-O-A-T. That's the way I want to spell it right now. G-O-A-T, greatest of all time. Listen, we've had this conversation several times. And let me tell you something. Um, there is no criteria, a set criteria for the GOAT conversation. Because what I'm happening is what I'm seeing is that every time the debates start, there always is a lot of back and forth, and there is no wrong answer. You can choose the greatest of all times based on whatever criteria you use. You can choose based on stats, but if you do that, you're going to be walking through the mud because there's always a stat for this and that. Or just like me, I simply base my greatest of all time based on completely emotions, what I saw. Some of you guys like Legacy, who's been here, who's done it before, who was the first to do it. And I totally understand it. But the problem is with this conversation that it don't have to get nasty, y'all. It don't have to get nasty. So if whoever your greatest of all time is, man, listen, that's your pick. You stick with it, but be able to intelligently debate your person if you're going to get into a debate. You can't just jump into name talking and slinging mud around because somebody out debated you. Let's not do that. Let's be a little bit smarter than that. So with that out the way, let me go ahead and tell you who my greatest of all time is, because obviously I got a little backslash on YouTube, so I'm going to say it right here live on the FairWeather Fan channel. The new Mount Rushmore of NBA basketball is simple. I have Magic Johnson at number 4, and I have LeBron James at number 3. I have Kobe Bryant at number 2, and I have none other than Shaquille O'Neal at number 1 for the Mount Rushmore of NBA basketball. And like I said on YouTube, Jordan is not on this list because simply Mount Rushmore elevation is 5,000 square feet, but Jordan is on a whole nother level. He need to be on the highest peak in the continental U.S., which is Mount Whitney in California. So therefore, Jordan is on a whole mountain by himself. So therefore, we cannot put him on Mount Rushmore. He is way above everybody else, in my humble opinion. This your boy EC22, man. Let's go ahead and bring in my boys, man. Yo, fellas, what's up?
Hey.
Man, y'all, I was getting beat up on YouTube because I put the little short out there and the video out there. Man, these folks, they just went off on me. Some guy called me goofy and called me dummy. I'm like, man, so, okay. I told them to join the show, but I don't think they want to smoke with us.
and I didn't get to see your video, so Coach had to fill me in because I was confused for a second. But the way you said it, I can agree with. He's my number 1 through 4. He could be Mount Rushmore all by himself if we wanted to say that. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's a good conversation, and when people start slinging mud, it's because they don't have the vocabulary to have an intelligent conversation about who the GOAT is.
Basically.
And the last thing I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna stop for a second, it's gotten to where we can't rank them anymore, like 1 through 10. You got to put them on different tiers.
Absolutely.
You got 2 on the top tier, 4 on the second tier, 8 on the third tier, and every tier gets more and more. It's just but you know, the passion that this argument instills is always good for the game, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always look at it this way: is that first of all, you know, no, like I said before, no pick is wrong. Now, if I'm talking to somebody, I mean, there are some wrong picks, right? If I turn around and say Mario Chalmers deserved to be the greatest of all time, and yeah, that's a completely wrong pick, right? When we know who the greats are, we know the people that's just tickled and that's busting into our emotions, right? But the top is only reserved for a few. And trying to shuffle the cards who deserves to be up there. I mean, it could be a fluid list. It can change from time to time. But if you decide to stick with your guy for an emotional attachment, that's understandable. But if you cannot defend your guy, then bow out of those conversations. That don't mean you got to change your pick. Just bow out the conversation. Just, you know, I don't want to do it. Because there are people like, you know what, Dr. J is still my greatest of all time. Okay, well, you're going to have to defend this guy against Kobe, against LeBron, against Jordan, against Shaq. But you don't have to get in that conversation. Just, you know what? He's my guy, and nothing you can do about it. Go, what you got?
Well, I mean, it's always such an interesting, fun conversation. But where I get confused, not confused, where I get frustrated with it is people, not mentioning any names on the Fairweather Fan, always put seems like they're always put in their greatest of all time, their favorites of all time. And that's one thing J-Dub and we have two different lists.
There's the greatest of all time, and then there's your favorites of all time. I would never put Chris Webber and Larry Johnson on the greatest of all time category, but they're certainly in my favorite category.
Yeah,
right.
And just like for me, everybody knows that my favorite man professional basketball at all time is none other than the Dr. J, but I don't put him in the top 4 or 5 greatest of all time. So same thing, but people can't sometimes people have a hard time making the greatest of all time because they put too much emotion into it instead of looking at what the facts are. Just my humble opinion on that. So thanks, bud.
So Jonathan G said we have this conversation all the time. G said he's here for it. And he says Nike and ESPN picks most people go. And this is what he mean by that. He always talk about that the narrative that spins, they create a narrative, they create people who they want us to watch, and then we watch them, and then we determine based on what was put in front of us. But there are players that don't necessarily get the limelight deserve to be in the conversation more than others, or at least some type of mention. I remember Shaquille O'Neal had to quickly correct Stephen A. Smith because during the Jordan and LeBron conversation, he saw Stephen A. Smith and a lot of the guys out there say, hey, don't forget my baby bro Kobe. Don't ever keep him out of the conversation. Whether you want him at number 1 or number 2, that's fine. But whatever you do, don't leave him out of the conversation. Then I said, you know what? Shaq belongs in that conversation as well. So, but I get what you're saying, G. Yeah, they do kind of give a subliminal ideas of who they want to be the GOAT.
And then not to go too far into what I'm fixing to say, but the era does affect who the greatest is, right?
Absolutely.
So Shaq's not as dominant nowadays as he was during his day. He can't throw his body around like he used to be able to. And I'm not saying I'm for or against it, but it's the fact of the matter. He can't back people down. Yeah. He can't touch them up, as he would like to say.
Right. But you know, we can all agree that if Shaq played in this era in his prime, I mean, even though we're in the 3-point era, there's still not a big man that we've seen since Shaq that can stop Shaq. Because they don't play that big. So
no, and he's the most dominant player to ever play the game. But he's still going to be an all-star. He's still going to be MVP caliber, but he's not going to be what he was. You know what I'm saying? He can't use his physicality to dominate anymore. I wish we still had that era. I'm in favor of that era, but he's just not going to be able to. They're going to call a lot of offensive fouls on him, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely.
So I got a couple things to add. One, as I was talking to J-Dubs up in beautiful Great Falls, Montana this weekend, and I'm going to quote Scottie Pippen, who said, "You're the GOAT. You don't have to go around telling people you're the GOAT."
Yeah.
Okay? That's the first thing I want to say. Number 2, hey, EC, man, props to you, bros. Great job the way you handled that Stephen Smith LeBron thing.
Oh, yeah.
Man, hey, props to you, bud, for handling that good, man.
Appreciate it.
You might go ahead and give us a little quick, where people can find that, a little thing, if you will, real quick, while everybody's listening.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later on in the show, but
okay.
we're going to throw that out there because we're going to discuss that around as well.
Perfect. Cool.
But speaking of the greatest of all times, we have to show respect for this lady right here. WNBA greats, man. I like to call her the queen of basketball, Lucia Harris. A lot of you may not know who she is, but the woman is a phenomenal basketball player. There she is back there when she was playing with Delta State. And there she is, and there was she was. She sadly passed away in 2022 at the age of 66. But man, just to give her a brief history on this beautiful young lady, the first woman, basketball, that's what I call her. But in 1996, I mean, first of all, she led Delta State to 3 national championships, back-to-back national championships, and was MVP of the season all 3 years. In 1976, when the Olympic Committee decided to have women's basketball introduced into the Olympics, she was on that USA Olympic squad and scored the first bucket for women's basketball. So she's the first woman to ever score a bucket in women's Olympic basketball. She played professionally for Houston, the Houston Angels. That was the WBL, if y'all remember that was the WBL Women's Basketball League. It didn't last long, but she played professionally there. Y'all check this out. In 1977, she was inducted or drafted into the NBA. The first and only female to ever to be drafted into the NBA. And she said, and that was an honor thing back then for that's how good she was to where they said, we're going to draft you. And she was drafted by the New Orleans Jazz, but she stepped away and said, you know what? I want to spend time with my family. She was the first African-American woman to be introduced in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, you know. So there you guys have it. We cannot let this jewel die for women's basketball. Awesome. I call her the first woman of basketball. It all starts with her and her dominance. Thank you, Lucia Harris, and to her kids. Check her out on YouTube, man. Check out her highlights, man. Check out the tribute. They did a mini documentary over her life, man. If you guys get a chance, man, check that out, man. We love you, Lucia Harris.
Beautiful lady, man. Wow. Props. Thanks for sharing that with us, EC.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, this is my first time. So when we're looking at, so obviously Lucia Harris started it off, you know, in my opinion. Obviously there are some women playing, but you know, we got to just show much love and much respect to Diana Taurasi, who just recently retired after 20 years of playing WNBA basketball. I mean, she stuck in there longer than what most women could do. So congratulations. Our hats tip to you, Diana T. Once we talk about the greatest of all time, there was a conversation that is she the greatest women's basketball player of all time? Honestly, she got my vote. She got my vote. But let's show love to the WNBA greats. Obviously, we start out with Lucia Harris, right? Then you go down to the Cheryl Millers and the Cynthia Cooper, you know what I'm saying? And then you go into the Swirl Swoop and Lisa Leslie. And then you come down with the Candace Parker, Maya Moore, and I'm sorry, you got Tamika Catchings, that Diana Taurasi. So salute to Diana Taurasi retiring. Then you drop down to Candace Parker, Maya Moore, and Brittany Griner. Then you flip on over to Asia Wilson, Breonna Stewart, and Nafisa Collins. And now you got the young girls with Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Aaliyah Edwards. You know, and then we see what's coming into the league. We got the Paige Beckers, we got Juju, we got Hannah Hidalgo, we got all these women. This is our history of WNBA basketball. And man, listen, there are two we just had an expansion team. Wasn't that J-Dub? The Golden State Valkyries. Toronto just announced their name, the Toronto Tempos. And man, our beloved Serena Williams, y'all. Serena Williams has joined the investment group to buy into this team. And of course, they announced Monica Wright as the GM of that squad. But Serena Williams said, she's always stated, she said, I did this because I want to make sure that we continue to highlight women's basketball, because women's basketball is a sport that everybody should be paying attention to, or just women athletics, period. So she could not sit on the sideline and watch this new wave and this energy being spilled to WNBA players and not be a part of it. So if she go ahead and set the trend, I think there's going to be many other women that's going to put their money into it. We saw what Nessie and what Brianna did for the Unrivaled League. So, man, this is how the women are going to support their own. They just said they don't need the men. They've been claiming about more, expressing themselves about having more pay. They're going to do it themselves. So I appreciate the women in athletics. We got to protect these women in sports, man. So there we have the WNBA greats. For those of you there who think that WNBA just started last year, that was a long breath. I just want to pay attention. Y'all thought it just started last year. What you got?
So listen, I'm sorry, because it's how my mind works. You skip two that I'm not going to let you skip. You skip Lauren Jackson, and you skip Elena Delle Donne.
Yeah.
And we're going to if you're going to throw in the Brittany Griner caliber of that level, then we got to throw in them two as well.
Mm-hmm. The reason why
I already have a third team planned in Portland. So there's another team coming in when Toronto comes in.
Right. So they haven't announced their logo.
They haven't announced. It's just still the team. It's still just the Portland team.
But they will be coming in 2026. Yeah. The reason why I didn't announce Lauren, now, obviously Lauren Jackson, obviously the highest scoring woman in basketball, right? Lisa Leslie is there for the USA squad, but Lauren Jackson takes it all, right? She's like the GOAT. She made most of her claim overseas. She came and played for a few years in the WNBA. She played with the Aussies team over there. But it's no disrespect to Lauren Jackson and Layla Delle Donne, but their name has just not been ringing throughout history, because Layla Delle Donne, she had like 3 great years, and then all of a sudden she kind of fell under the radar. But we're talking about these women, particularly like Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops. They was dominant from the time they got in to the time they ended. And every last one of these women, like Candace and Brittany and Breonna Stewart and all these other women, their name is still ringing in the lights. But out of respect, we're not going to forget the Atlanta Della Dons. We're not going to forget the just Lauren Jackson, big Lauren Jackson, man, baller, because she was killing Brittany when she first got to with Big Brittany. But there's some other names out there we can throw out there. Sue Bird, so Carol Lawson, all them out there. My favorite, Katie Douglas of that Detroit Shock Squad was good. Cabby Poindexter, who played in Phoenix, New York.
Becky Hammond was a boss back in the day.
The first NBA coach, assistant coach, whatever. The list goes on and on and on. And we're going to continue to show the love for women. Go ahead, Jay.
And so to add on to this, there was an article I was reading today, actually, that last year with Caitlin and Angel, viewership of college women's basketball was up 44%. Right. But even with them gone, it's up 3% even above last year. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, I don't know how they track these things. Y'all could probably school me, but when people turn it on, it's not just for 2 or 3 minutes to check the score. They're turning it on and leaving it on. Right. So just like we said back when the WNBA was still going on last year, people are starting to watch enough, and they're watching these stars and these names that the news is telling us about, and they're finding teams they want to root for other than stars. Yeah. And that's what it's going to take, right? Absolutely. That's what it's going to take.
Exactly.
And so turn it on to watch Caitlin. Turn it on to watch Stewie. But as you're watching these players, find the ones that you want to cheer for and keep watching. Yeah, absolutely.
Check and see if you got a local team and root for that team. Watch that team.
Yeah, for sure.
But Lynette Woodard, she was another WNBA player. She was a Harlem Globetrotter, so she definitely has some skills out there, but her name just didn't hit the lights as far as being the greatest, because obviously she didn't play in the WNBA. And I know she played for the WBL, but when you came down to WBL, you looking at, like I say, Lucia Harris and Sharon Miller. That was that. And Cheryl Swoops later on, they was killing that league over there. So, and there you have it, man. But yeah, we're not gonna forget Lynette Woodard. But y'all, so now we're here. Coach was sending a lot of pictures a couple of weeks ago of our girl Nafisa Collar over in the Unrivaled League. And y'all, we are down to the Final Fours or the playoffs of the Unrivaled League. And y'all, man, listen, once again, the Unrivaled League, I love what they're doing, because you're talking about not only was the women getting anywhere between $200,000, $250,000 to play in this league. We saw the one-on-one situation and money that was given out there. Now they decided to give the women $50,000, each member of the championship team, $50,000. So there's Nafisa Collar there. Was that sent by Christy, who was on the show podcast?
Hey, shout out to our Covenant Church buds, Dennis and Christy Pitterock, who were not only were they at the game last weekend, but they were, they could see the sweat drops off the back of Fee's neck and those girls. And she said all she had to do was just basically just reach out and touch them. But that, that's not what you do when you're sitting down that low. But
you don't want to have a Chris Paul situation. You don't be touching those people.
But how cool was that? How cool was that for Kristen to get to experience that? Yeah,
that was awesome, man. That was awesome, man. Much love for you, Kristen, man. Can't wait to get you back on the podcast, man. Jada, now that we have the finals of the Unrivaled League, is it set in stone that the Luna Owls will take it all the way?
They should. Listen, Nafisa's been proven. She is her. She is the one. She is she's the greatest right now. She ain't no GOAT status yet, but I think they've only lost one game through this little season. And
13-1.
Yeah. Okay. And she's got certainly help. Skylar has brought herself back into the limelight. I know she did it a little bit last season, but this Unrivaled League has certainly helped her do that. I think they are the champion unless somebody else can just find a way to disrupt it. And I know the Rose, the youngsters, if we want to call them that, it seems like they've been good, especially as of late. I haven't got to see every week, don't get me wrong, but I catch the highlights. It's Nafisa. I'm not even say the Lunar Owls. and she's got a little chip on her shoulder from the WNBA finals too.
Yeah.
She is the champion, and in order to win, you're gonna have to beat her.
Facts.
And I don't know how the playoffs work. Is it like a 2 out of 3? Is it one-time elimination?
Single elimination. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So anybody can win one game, right? So
right.
But if I was gonna bet on this league, I'm betting on the Owls to take it.
13-1. I love the way the Roses. First of all, the Owls roster is Cameron Brigg, Alicia Gray, Courtney Williams.
And they didn't even have Cameron. They didn't even have her this season.
Right. I'm looking at Alicia Gray. You know, I mean, one time she was supposed to be the phenom. She was the Caitlin Clark about 4 years ago. She came in the league and just shut it down. Courtney Williams, you know how good of a baller she is. Skylar Diggs, Shakira Austin, and Nafisa Collier. Then you got the Roses: Brittany Sykes, Ezra Stevens, Kalia Copper, Angel Reese, Lexi Hall, and Chelsea Gray. That team, Mama Gray, she's a very high IQ baller. Kalia Copper is an athlete. We see what Angel Reese can do. Y'all, she's been getting work in. She's been working with Lisa Leslie in her post game. Ooh-wee. What a great time to do it when you're approaching the playoff.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I'm looking for this team to upset them or whatever, but at the end of the day, man, listen, this playoff is going to be interesting. Ain't nobody going to bow down. And the Roses, they fought hard to get back up to this spot. The way Angel's been looking, the chip, we saw the chip in this between Phoenicia and Angel Reese.
Yeah.
Hey, it's about to go down, J-Dub. Okay, what they say?
These ladies have been playing, the rookies from last year, and have now been playing with everybody more. Yeah. So there's starting to be these little chippiness between. It's not just one chippiness now. There's a couple players that don't like each other, and I think you're overrated, and this, that, and the other. So this is like the best preseason we could have ever had. You know what I mean?
Facts. I love it. So in third place, we got Tiffany. We got the Laces with Tiffany Hayes, Jackie Young, Kayla McBuckets, Kate Martin, Stephanie Dolson, and our girl Alyssa Thomas. Man, Andrew Wade is their coach. They kind of struggled for a little while, in my opinion. They had a couple of wins that I thought it was cool, but I mean, they don't really have the scoring that I like. I mean, Jackie Young, we know what she can do. Tiffany Hayes, we know what she can do. And, of course, with Kayla, with bucking out. But you get the other girls in. I think Stephanie came out a little bit of not in shape. And then Alyssa Thomas, she's a defender, but not necessarily a scorer. So she's good, in getting those spots. But they got a lot of ground to make if they want to get a chance to win in this league right now. And then the fourth, it was a fight between Coach Handy's squad and Teaspoon squad, and Teaspoon squad pulled it out. So you got Rain Howard, Leah Boston, Rael Burrell, Arika Gumawale, Jordan Canada, and Derek Handy. D-Way and J-Dub, I don't understand why this team is not the best team.
Dude, you took the words right out of my mouth. I'm sitting there looking at those girls, and I keep looking. Where's the soft spot in that group?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
The only spot is nobody else can beat Nafisa. Listen, you got to play her. There's only 6 teams, so that means you had to play her 2 to 3 times. That's 2 to 3 losses per team.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find what she's averaging per game right now as we're talking, and I'm struggling.
While you're looking for that, I still think the difference maker is, because of how she's playing right now, is Skylar Diggins. I mean,
Skylar's
playing
Skylar's on point
right now,
yeah,
which is making it taking so much pressure off of Fee. You know what I'm saying?
She's had 30 points 5 times in a 3-on-3 game.
Oh,
she's had 20 points another 8 times, and then every other one was like 16, 18, and 19. So again, you got to find a way to stop her. And if you don't have 5 players stopping one player, it's more one-on-one. Even in a 3-on-3 game, you can get one-on-one matchups, and she's not going to be stopped. So it's her championship. All these other teams have to figure out a way for 3 girls to stop one. That's what they have to do.
That's what's going to happen. Chemistry is everything too. When they do double team her, she is so smart. Her team feeds off her, and that's what's going to take. I think a lot of the other girls are kind of playing one-on-one basketball at times.
And that's why Skylar has been so good. Every time she gets double teamed, Skylar's open at the 3-point.
True.
And how many times
True.
she hit the game winner? She had at least what, 3 or 4 times. So yeah.
And again, you can't ever come off Courtney. I mean, there's just that team was built for a 3-on-3 game.
Facts. Yeah, Fee knows what she was doing getting that squad together.
Yeah.
Y'all, so
EC,
go ahead, Coach.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say, man, I wish you could have saw J-Dub's. I mean, it was obnoxious, the crush he had on Skylar when she was at Notre Dame. That's all he telling me, man. Have you seen Skylar? Have you seen Skylar? I said, dude, you're killing me already.
Well,
that's why I still don't like Brittany Griner, because they played each other in the Final Four.
Baylor versus, I remember that.
Yeah.
My wife is watching, so I cannot give my opinion about Skylar, but I think I'd be safe to say that we all did at some point in love. Until she got married and had children, it was like, I'll forget you.
That's right.
I was excited when she came to Dallas. Obviously, I thought that was like, man, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, y'all, what Coach D-Wade was talking about earlier, if you've been around basketball, if you've been around sports, media, and news, you guys saw it. There is supposed to be this distance or this barrier between spectators and players. But obviously, when you have a name, rules don't always apply. I don't care who Stephen A. Smith is as an analyst, as an employee of ESPN. The moment he steps into a basketball court, front row seat, he is a spectator. There are supposed to be barriers. And LeBron James, I don't care who you is, the greatest player of all time in some people's mind, this generational player, there's supposed to be a barrier between players and spectators. But obviously, LeBron and Stephen A. got a chance to meet on the sideline. It wasn't generated by Stephen A. Of course, LeBron James broke protocol, walked up to Stephen A. and said some words. We couldn't hear the words, but Stephen A. cleared the air and said exactly what he said, that it was a bad conversation. It wasn't pleasant. And LeBron James stated that he didn't like the way Stephen A. was addressing or talking about his son. And that clip went viral. I made a comment about it, and I basically, according to what Coach D-Wade was saying, you can find that video on YouTube. You can find it on Facebook, or just scroll up on Facebook. You can watch it. I gave my opinion about it then. So I'm going to give Coach D-Wade a chance to throw his 2 cents in the hat on that.
Yeah, I mean, please find that on YouTube or because EC, it was so good. The way you presented the facts and presented the material, and it's just, I mean, obviously the rules don't apply, to everybody, and I have no problem with LeBron addressing that with Stephen A. Smith at the right time, at the right place, in the right environment. Okay. But I have a major problem the way that deal went down, and I'm going to leave it alone because I really want people to watch it. It's so good, so good. So,
what you got, Jada?
So I haven't seen every single Stephen A. Smith clip, but everyone I've seen a lot, and everyone I've had, I've never seen, and I haven't seen your clip. I need to get a YouTube membership so I can watch some of your things. I've never seen Stephen A. attack Bronny as a person. Everything I've seen, he's attacked him as a basketball player.
Right.
And the minute you become a professional athlete, you are susceptible to attack as an athlete. Right. I haven't seen him talk bad about him as a human being. I haven't seen him say that he was this or that, a bad person, but I have seen, and I agree, that the Lakers saw an opportunity to get a huge amount of publicity and get their name in the history book by having a father and son play. And that's awesome. Good for the Lakers. But I think LeBron was a little bit out of line. I know he's a father, and I get that. But Stephen didn't attack him as a person. He attacked him as a player. So attacking him as a player is his job. And that's what we expect him to do. And he's right in everything I've seen. He is a solid G League player. He's turned out to be a solid G Leaguer, but he is not an NBA player, at least at this point in his career. He still has at least 5 or 6 years before he should give up on that dream. But at this point right now, Stephen A is right. LeBron was wrong. I agree with you. It was a time and place for everything, just like Coach said. That wasn't the right time or place. You know, the cameras are on you, the whole 9 yards. So it was, I think it was a bad look for King James. But just like back in the day with Ron Artest, just because he did the wrong thing, and we can say he did the wrong thing, if you put me in the same situation, I'm not going to say I don't do the same thing. Right. So there's a fine line, but as a fan, as a FairWeather fan, that was not the time or place for him to do anything at all.
Yeah, and it's kind of like anything else. I watch the video for those out there who want to see it in its entirety that I put out there. But everybody is pretty much saying the same thing except for the fans of LeBron. But y'all listen, just like J-Dub said, we all can get emotional, especially when it comes down to our children, right? You know, there's no rule of engagement when it comes down to protecting your child. There is no logical rationale. We've seen completely irrational behavior by parents. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Your child is the biggest bully in school, but as soon as your child get mollywopped, all of a sudden you're ready to shut it down. just straight up. Your child is the worst kid, just will not come to class, but your child get a D, you ready to fire the teacher.
and
that's just how it is.
And I've always said, and I've made no bones about it, I'm not a LeBron James fan.
Yeah.
But the thing that is most impressed me about LeBron James throughout his entire career, I have tons of respect, give him lots of props. He's a beast. But the thing that mostly impressed me about LeBron throughout the years of his career up to just a few days ago was how well he handled himself in front of the camera and to the media. You know, he was very professional. I'm gonna use that word for a minute.
Yeah.
Anytime the camera was on him, and he really carried himself with a lot of class. But this incident, and I'm sorry, it's an isolated incident. I give you grace. I hope you and Stephen can have a conversation in private yourselves if you haven't already, and kind of clear the air on some things. But I won't. It's not to sound like a broken record, but that was bad timing. So.
I mean, I believe mistakes are allowed in life. We do. You can make mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. But there is some point in the eye of public perception, right, to where some people don't want to see a mistake. Just like you can't have a big time preacher like our beloved Pastor Amy Doctor, we love her. You know what I'm saying? Misquoting scripture. That's what you get in the lab, and you go and you study, and you have your sermon notes, and you make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. Right?
Great. That's awesome.
But mistakes are allowed. For LeBron James, you are a branded individual, which means you know that there's a camera somewhere. You have to know that. Stephen A. Smith understood the assignment, and that's the reason why he didn't go back and forth, right? I get your emotion, but this is a point to where you cannot make this mistake, and and because this is what I want to talk about, J-Dub. On their show, LeBron James and his coach, JJ Redick's show, they was no short of words about talking about, and LeBron was no short of words about talking about players he played with who didn't have the IQ. He said, I hate it. It don't make any sense. First of all, why coaches want to do what they call a 2 for 1. Like you get 30 seconds left on the clock. Let's try to get 2 possessions for 1. He said that was the dumbest play in basketball. Basically, that is the go-to for every coach in the
mm-hmm. Yeah.
You froze. Go ahead, Jay.
I know. Again, this is just a weird situation all the way around because based on what he's saying, I think he was going to talk about Bronny's IQ. Bronny probably has a pretty high IQ. He just ain't got the talent yet. That, again, I'm going to say it again. That doesn't mean he's not going to have it. That just means that 19 years old, 2 years out of high school, he probably has a higher IQ than most of the players in the NBA, but he doesn't have the body or the skill set to make it work. Go back to you, Eric.
It's the how LeBron James over and over again, and every chance to get time to get a chance to meet it, he has no short of words of scrutinizing or picking at or whatever about players he played with that don't have his IQ or don't have what he considers simple IQ. And you talking about the players, and I just watched a clip with Mario Chalmers and Dwight Howard, who we seen visibly get into arguments with LeBron on the sideline because LeBron was coming at him a certain way, and they had to basically defend themselves like, cuss him out type stuff. And both players, Mario Chalmers was benched for that game. We always saw that. And then Dwight Howard was kicked off the bench and told to go to the locker room. Right. So LeBron, you're attacking your own teammates. But the moment somebody just give an honest opinion about your son, I don't understand it. That's what.
And
gets
LeBron,
me.
you're not always right. You, in your mind, you're always right. You think you're always right, and that's what you should think. But you've been goated for so long. You've been goated since 2003. So nobody has argued with you. Nobody has said anything negative against you. So now, I mean, again, I don't know what happened behind the scenes with the Lakers, but now he goes through coaches like we go through soda cans. You know what I'm saying? So at some point in time, you have to accept that I don't want to use the word wrong, but you're not as right as the other person. You're not as right.
Right.
And this is one of those instances. You're Bronny, who could beat all three of us with his hand tied behind his back. He was a washed up scrub in college, and he still got picked 55th because of his daddy. Now, if you don't think that there's some nepotism and some backlash that's going to happen from the media, then you might have a high basketball IQ, but you don't have a high social IQ. That was going to happen. You were not worthy of a pick, but you got picked, and you didn't expect any backlash to happen. Come on, man. I'm done with that.
Fred Taylor of the Pivot Podcast, he so eloquently stated the fact that you're talking about, like you said, at USC, he wasn't the best player in that squad, was not great in college, but yet he had the most NIL deals because of his daddy, because of his namesake. And he's been capitalizing off of that for all this time. And now you're talking about somebody want to critique his play on the hardwood. If you don't do anything else, LeBron James, listen to us on this podcast. Teach your son how to handle adversity. Because it seems like you want to walk him through with a silver spoon, and that's just not the way the world works. You as a father, instead of always trying to come to the defense, you need to teach him how to. If he would have walked up to Stephen A, I would have been fine with it.
That would have made more sense.
Yeah. So
you did not earn your spot. You probably don't deserve your spot, but you have your spot. And for you to think that you got your spot by yourself, there's nothing that we can say. There's nothing that anybody can say.
And then the other thing I keep thinking is, how about all those other 18 and 19 and 20-year-old young men that are a lot better than him that never will probably get that opportunity because their daddy's not LeBron James?
Yeah. How many of them earned it and how many of them didn't earn it? Just like it's the same thing when we see somebody who lost weight and got in shape in the gym versus we see somebody who went and got a surgery or drugs. We respect one more than the other. It is what it is. Even if you don't say it out loud.
Exactly.
If you earn it the hard way, we have more respect for you. And he has not earned anything the hard way. God bless him. I wish I was Bronny James, but I'm not. So that's a different conversation for a different time.
All right, I think we beat that to death, man. Y'all, real quick before we end the show, we got a couple minutes left over. Y'all, the NFL free agent tracker has really just been keeping our phone. If you have an alert on your phone, you have not been able to get any sleep.
Man, ding, 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 ding.
My head's just been spinning around and around and around, man.
So, Coach D-Wade, what was the most intriguing that you've seen, the one that just shocked you the most?
I don't even know where to start, EC. I was excited, if I can say it this way, for DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Because he's a baller, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that he's getting paid, and so I guess that'd be the biggest one. Justin Fields. I mean, this is what I keep hearing. I keep hearing that Justin Fields can play at this level, that he's the real deal, that Justin Fields has got it going on. Well, I haven't personally seen it at the NFL level. So I'm looking forward to being proven wrong or possibly being proven right this coming year. So we'll see. How about y'all?
Man, go ahead, J-Dub.
But I'm gonna tell you the two that I noticed and I'm most excited for. I'm excited for so obviously Geno went to the Raiders, yada yada yada. I'm excited for Devontae Adams to be at the Rams. We have an older, more mature team. Maybe they'll find a good way to use him. I'm really excited for Deebo Samuel in Washington.
Yeah.
I think Jaden. I think the whole locker room will learn from his maturity and his experience. The fact that you can line him up at back, you can line him up at tight end. You got Jaden Daniels who runs an option offense, so you can use this big receiver, this running back who plays receiver at a lot of different positions. So
yeah,
that's the one I'm most excited for. I tell you.
And then where did not? EC, I want to hear your take too. But before you do, where did Najee Harris? Najee Harris just signed with somebody out on the West Coast, didn't he?
Did he freeze? I can never tell if he's frozen or he's in deep thought.
He froze, yeah.
Yeah, I froze for just for a second. Yeah. Go ahead, Coach. You about to say something?
I was just going to say, where did Najee Harris end up?
I think he still was. I don't know. He's probably still out there because I haven't heard any word from Pittsburgh.
No,
I didn't know he left. Yeah,
I just saw something. Let me pull it up real quick. Y'all talk. I'm gonna find this.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, just going back to Pittsburgh, that's the one I've really been hanging my hat on with them getting Metcalf over there because now I'm looking like, based on what they needed this year, they needed another wide receiver, and we got one.
But now who's throwing the ball? Is it Russell still throwing the ball?
Well, Justin is gone.
I know.
There's been rumors that Wednesday, Aaron Rodgers will be released from the Jets. And there has been rumors that Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers will be in communication and conversation.
So everything I've read and seen says Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh or Aaron Rodgers is going to the Giants.
I'm going to tell you what I think.
I don't want to see him go to Pittsburgh. I'm going to be honest with you.
I say let Russell Wilson entertain the free market. I think we've gotten what we got out of him, and I think it's time to rebuild the squad. Me personally, Jackson Dart or Will Howard. Draft them in the second round because you got a spot. Your first round pick, you can do whatever because you needed a receiver, and I was going to go with Matthew Golden, the kid from Texas, the guy who ran the fastest in the combine, you know, as from a wide receiver standpoint. But now you've got a receiver, so you can do whatever you want to do with that first round spot. But second round, either get Jackson Dart or Will Howard. I think be a great fit for Pittsburgh to be a young rookie. And then you get somebody, if you either keep Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. But one thing I love about Aaron Rodgers, when Zach Wilson was out there when he got hurt, Aaron Rodgers took him under his wing and helped him develop for that season. Yeah. Russell Wilson wants to play. So it was me versus Justin Fields the whole offseason, every time. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to play. You know what I'm saying? So trying to get Russell to mature or help that new young quarterback, I don't think that, because I think he's 36 years old. He wants to play. You're not going to get that out of him. But I think Rodgers knows the business. He knows what it is. If he do land in Pittsburgh, you know, this ain't the pole position like it was last year. William Howard is your starter or Jackson Dart is your starter. You use Aaron Rodgers as a backup. And I think that need to be the communication the Steelers have if you're going to bring him to the organization. You don't get to come in here and start. I'm sorry, A. Rodgers, but your time is over. You put it up.
This is hot off the wire news press. The Los Angeles Chargers reached an agreement with former Pittsburgh Steelers running back Najee Harris on a one-year deal worth up to $9.25 million for 1 year. And that's reported by ESPN's Adam Schefter. So he's a Charger.
That team is scaring me right now.
And they re-signed Khalil Mack, the one they were worried about leaving. So I'm not a big Justin Hebert fan, but we're going to see what they can do with the team behind him.
They re-signed that cornerback, Elijah Molden, the 3 years, $18 million. They got Dante Jackson, the cornerback, so giving some help over there for $13 million. And then, like you said, just Najee Harrison over there. Oh my God!
And like him or not, I mean, we all know Jim Harbaugh can coach.
And also, the Redskins also got what's his name? Laramie Tunsil.
You got
a offensive tackle who can move, who can block downfield on run play. I think Washington again. The second year of any quarterback is the most telling year, but I mean, they're making all the right moves to make Jaden Daniels successful. So I'm excited to see what they can do next year.
Awfully quiet over there in Frisco, Texas. I'm trying to hear if anybody's making a move over there. At the
they did do something good.
Headquarters.
They just signed they defensive tackle Asi Agimvuwazi, I guess how you say his name, at $80 million for a year. So they threw some money at him on that.
And they said they were going to be aggressive and all this stuff. I was like, y'all don't know how to be aggressive. I don't know what that means.
It's garbage.
We don't know.
I don't want to start being rude to Eric because I don't want to.
Kevontae Turpin, they got him. They re-signed their Kevontae Turpin, that little fast punt returner, kick returner, wide receiver for $18 million for 3 years. So they got him. They got I just other than that, Cowboys haven't really done anything else major. Starting out with Arizona, let's go up and look and see what Arizona have done. Nothing. Arizona Cardinals haven't done real much anything. Darren Brawling, their offensive linebacker, they signed up for $2 million. Josh Sweat is a good one. They did snatch up Josh Sweat for $76 million, so that's a good one over there. And then they hired a backup Jacoby Brissett for Kyler. So I don't know. Atlanta Falcons, they left tackle Jake Matthews. They got that business done. Didn't add anything else other than that. But Baltimore, obviously, there's not so much.
Baltimore added DeAndre.
Who?
DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to the Ravens.
Oh, is he? Oh, they don't have that on there. Oh my goodness. Well,
so he wasted most of his time of his career in Houston, but I think he can still be relevant, especially when the team has to focus on rushing. He's going to have a lot of one-on-one matchups.
And I think he worked better with Baltimore than he did with Kansas City. It's just
for sure.
Facts on that. My team. Our team.
Thank you.
Our team.
It's actually all three of us, okay?
The highest paid QB in the league right now is who?
He's throwing money around like it doesn't even mean nothing. He's wiping his rear end with $100 bills. I'm gonna just throw it in the fire after I'm done with it anyway.
Those offensive linemen up there are gonna be driving some nice rides, man.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Wow, Josh Allen, 6 years, $330 million, $250 million guaranteed, the highest guaranteed contract.
Way to go, Josh.
Wow. So he just surpassed Dak Prescott in the most highest guarantee because he's doing 6 years, Dak doing 5. Dak still makes more money a year.
Let's pause right there.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Let's look at Josh and then let's look at Dak. Let's look at what Josh has done, and then let's look at what Dak has done. And you want to ask me why the Cowboys are in so much turmoil? Is because Dak Prescott is sucking up so much of your cap room that you can't afford to put an offensive line in front of him. You can't afford to give him a secondary. You can't afford to find him a running back. And when you compare the two, man, I mean, who's going to pick Dak over Josh? Right? Nobody.
Right.
Well, I don't know who number 2, 3, and 4 are, or who 3, 4, and 5 are on this list, but I don't know that you're going to pick Dak over them either.
And look at the money Buffalo has done.
Is what the Cowboys' problem is.
They talking about they got their edge rusher retained Greg Russo, 4 years, $80 million. They got Khalil Shakir, the guy that don't wear any shoes. Their wide receivers, 4 years, $60 million. Terrell Bernard, 4 years, $50 million. So I mean, they are broken up the bank to keep that team together. And then you add other people like Josh Palmer for $36 million. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they've been doing their thing. They really impressed me with trying to run this team back. But yeah, I'm with you. Cowboys. That's probably why they only signed their tackle.
Mm-hmm. They added money. All that
so,
old.
So
money
the question
gone.
is, why we own the Cowboys? What do you do with Micah now? I don't know,
Coach.
Okay, so y'all don't want to hear what I got to say.
We do.
So, last year in the fall, offensive coordinators figured out how to handle him now.
Yeah.
He is not. I don't want to say he's a non-factor, but he hasn't been a factor. He hasn't been relevant. Wasn't relevant in the last 6 or 8 games, if I can say it that way. And it's because offensive coordinators have figured it out. Put somebody in his face and just bother him long enough so we can get by him. I'm concerned because, I mean, if you're looking at, what do you want to call him, a speed rusher? if you're looking at speed rushers / outside linebackers, he's not in my top 2 or 3 in the NFL, in my humble opinion. So that's what I don't know what you do with I don't know what you do with Micah, to answer your question.
I think he's still in the top 2 or 3. I mean, the problem is like with Myles Garrett, right? When you're the main guy to focus on, then when you're getting double teams, you're getting all the hard assignments, you expect your teammates to be able to find a hole, be able to find a gap, to be able to get so Micah's getting all the double teams. Who else can step up to so if he's getting double teamed, that means somebody's wide open. Somebody else has to find that hole. Somebody else has to get the quarterback. Somebody else has to get a tackle for a loss. So they need to keep him. They need to find a young guy that they don't have to overpay, that's in their first 2 or 3 years, that he's going to end up being somebody.
Is Micah's contract ready, due almost, or about to come up due?
Yeah, it's coming up, and the rumor is that Cowboys need to do something soon. Right now, I mean, Myles Garrett just got his money, so obviously Micah is due a payday. They need to do something sooner rather than later before everything goes up. But I mean, here's my deal about Michael Parsons. He impacted the game, and right now you have him, whether you like him, because there are some who are saying trade him because you could probably get more for him. But my whole situation is that if you can afford him, if you look at your salary calorie, if you can afford him, then why not go ahead and pay him? It just don't make any sense to me because you got him. Because whether he can get a sack or not, he's affecting the game because you have to double team him. You can't swing the ball his way. You put your biggest guy on there. If you don't double team him, you putting your biggest guy on that side just to handle, and he's still giving him the biz, you know.
And so, he's not bad in coverage. I'm not saying he's great in coverage, but he's pretty good in coverage.
And to his defense, because I'm not hating on him.
You see what Z-Man said?
You have to plan for him. You have to have an idea.
Yeah. I mean, Z-Man, you're spot on. To his defense, he gets held more. There were more non-holding calls against him because he's so small and he's so fast and so strong.
I think he's like 6'3" as an outside linebacker. That's little nowadays.
And he gets held. He gets obviously held, and they don't call it for whatever reason. I guess because they don't like Jerry Jones, but another story for another day.
And J-Dub, so if you take away the Michael Parker's antics, the podcast shenanigans, his where he talks to the media, if you take all that away, we wouldn't be having this conversation. True or false?
Medium. I'm gonna go middle, and I'm not trying to not give you an answer, but you're talking to somebody who loves the antics at certain positions. Like certain positions, you need to be conservative. At certain positions, I want you to be Micah. We love Lawrence Taylor. Think about all the antics Lawrence Taylor put us through, and he's the best edge rusher we have ever seen.
Facts.
So if you can back it up, and you're that guy, if you're Deion Sanders, if you're Lawrence Taylor, if you're Dude Jackson from Kansas City, if you're that guy, then you can have those antics. Now, I don't like the part where he's I know there were a couple podcast clips where he was talking bad about his teammates. That starts giving division in the locker room, and you got to be one team, one mind, whatever, yada yada yada. But man, I like the antics at that position. I don't like the antics if he was a quarterback. I don't like the antics if he's a fullback or something like that. But man, so other than the teammate conversations I've heard him have, man, I'm good with it. He just needs he needs so he usually plays on the left, isn't that right? Yeah, he plays on the left most often. So he needs a left end who's a problem. He needs a defensive tackle who plays on the left side who's a problem. He needs a middle linebacker who's a problem. So you don't know where it's coming from. He can't, just like Myles, he can't do it by himself. And last year, again, just like Myles, we expected him to do it by himself.
Right.
But they were in such disarray that I don't think last season was a good indicative of what he is or isn't.
And if the rest of the Cowboys defensive team, if the rest of the Cowboys entire team played at the same speed and intensity that Michael Parsons played at, it'd be a whole lot better than they are right now.
Yeah.
But they don't.
No, they don't.
So D-Way, J-Dub, cornerback J.C. Horn retained by the Carolina Panthers 4 years, $100 million. Is $25 million too much for a cornerback?
Man, for him, and I don't know a whole lot about him, but unless you're a shutdown island, if you're Darrelle Revis at the height of his career, if you're Charles Woodson at the height of, unless you can shut down a whole side of the field, 15 million a year is too much for a cornerback, in my opinion, because again, like the best cornerbacks are the people who we never see in the box score. Because the quarterback knows we're not even going to that side of the field.
Facts.
So he doesn't get any defensive deflections. He doesn't get any interceptions. He has no tackles. That's worth $25 million a year.
The one guy paid $25 million to that played cornerback, and it's a no-brainer for me. That's Prime.
Prime, yeah. He shut down the whole side.
He's $25 million a year, anytime.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So and those other guys that Jade mentioned, Darrell and who's the other one?
Charles Woodson.
Those guys.
All those guys. So again, if you can shut down a half of a field in the secondary, you're worth $25 million.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think there's not a quarterback in this league that I know of that they fear a certain cornerback.
No.
Like they did. Like they feared Darrelle Revis. They feared Primetime. They feared Woodson. So, I mean, nobody's afraid. We see these guys who's supposed to be the bum.com. We've seen that with the guy that was LA. I forget his name. But
Richard Sherman was worth $25 million for a couple of years.
Yep.
Sherman, Ramsey, Josh Norman, all these guys. But nobody was afraid. They took their best receiver and went to you and they tacked you the whole game.
Yeah.
You know, I watched the Super Bowl when it came down to who was that? Kansas City and the 49ers. And I said, wow.
Who is that kid in the background? That kid was great. Is that Harrison? Is his name Harrison?
Right. And I'm laughing. I'm like, they finna attack Richard Sherman. They finna attack their best quarterback, and they attacked him, which has got him a touchdown at the end of the game and gave Kansas City their win. That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, Lou?
And my other problem with the cornerback position specifically is, man, you are on a mountaintop for just a season or two, and then you're right back down. Mm-hmm. So I don't think any cornerback contract at that level should be more than 2-3 seasons, right? Maximum.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you lose a half a step, you're already not a shutdown corner again. It's a weird position. It's hardest position in sports. Position in sports.
Especially when you look at Philadelphia. When it comes down to Saquon, you know, so he's not even getting paid that type of money. So that's a whole other conversation that, you know,
right.
You know, you're looking at what a wide receiver, what a cornerback is getting. And then Saquon end up getting 2 years, $41 million. So that's $20 million a year. And then you talk about 36 of a guarantee. So he's going to have incentives to get that versus your cornerback getting 25. But Carolina, they need something. They need to do
they're grasping at straws. They just listen. I get it. They're trying to make a move. That GM is trying to keep his job.
Yeah. So Sam Darnold, 3 years, $100 million to go to Seattle. Is it worth it?
Tough environment to play in. Weather's really tough.
And just like I was talking to Coach earlier today or yesterday or whatever, he had a phenomenal season. But if you look at his stats, him and Baker Mayfield had the exact same season, stat-wise.
Yep.
One's 14-2 and one's 9-7 or whatever they ended up being. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. So Sam's going to a squad that isn't as loaded as the Vikings.
Yeah.
So I think we're looking at a 9-8, 8-9, 500 squad at best in Seattle.
Right.
At best. And you just gave $100 million to a redheaded stepchild who may not even be your starter by the time the season starts.
Sam Darnold will not make it through the season.
Nah, I agree.
You know what? That is, I love his comeback. I love what he did, but you talking about
great. I'm rooting for him.
You're right, Coach. I can't see it. I can't see him, especially over there. That team has been struggling with their quarterback position for a minute. And you throw him in there, then you lose your top receiver, like Jada said. It's like, what are you doing? So yeah, I don't know. I guess because they made him and Gino were Pro Bowls, right?
Yep.
And then
So
did I hear y'all say Gino's going to the Raiders?
Yep. Reunited with Pete
With
Carroll.
his former coach.
Yeah.
And we all know that Pete knows how to put a team together. So
yeah,
And Gino's solid. Gino is that guy who you know what you're going to get out of him every season. He's going to be a respectable starting NFL quarterback.
right.
But I think Sam that was a little bit too high. But they don't ever take that into consideration. Like if y'all remember the year the Ravens won the Super Bowl and Joe Flacco's last contract year, they paid Joe $100 million to be a bus driver because he was successful at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean he was worth it, right? It's a weird thing. If you're successful in your last year of your contract and your agent and you expect to get paid, and the GM seem to do it. I don't understand any of that.
Well, I don't understand paying a guy that much money when your team is kind of in a rebuilding place. I'm talking about Seattle. If Seattle had all the pieces in place where they went, hey, if we can get Sam to come up here and just drive the bus, he won't lose any games for us, and we can have a chance at winning the Super Bowl. That's one thing, paying him $100 million. But when you got a team that's really in a rebuild and you're paying him that kind of money, that's what I don't understand about these owners. That's what I don't get.
So when you look at Dak Prescott, $300 million 5-year, and then you're looking at Josh Allen's $330 6-year. Dak be getting paid $60. Josh Allen be getting paid a little over $55. Now you're looking at Sam Darnold with his 3-year $100 million getting paid maybe about a little over $32 million a year. Is that a fair range for a 3-year quarterback? That's still too much money.
That's
too much money
Allen.
for him. Too much money for him.
Allen.
Like, can anybody name a game this last season? I'm not going decades. Jonathan, anybody say, man, Sam won that game for Minnesota. He was just on fire. 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. No, that didn't happen. He was a solid starter with a great team around him. I got to throw the ball up to Justin Jefferson. I got to throw the ball up to TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
My defense is going to take care of it and get me the ball back, right?
Yeah.
So if he was that guy who we can remember week 12 when Sam came out, I mean, he was just on fire. We can't remember that. So, I mean, he's a good starter. He's a solid NFL starting quarterback, but he is not $100 million quarterback.
Right. Jonathan G, you saying Flacco or Romo? I don't know. Are you talking about they got too much money or whatever?
It says Romo is greater than Flacco the way he wrote it, and I agree with that. But Flacco had the best defense since the Steelers in the 70s behind him, so I don't have to do much, and I win a Super Bowl, and now you pay me $120 million.
All right. And Jonathan also had an earlier comment about the cornerbacks, and this is what we're talking about, paying them $25 million a year. These cornerbacks, they're not physical. They're not playing the line of scrimmage, so they are having it a little easier and getting paid more.
Prime and Charles, all them boys, when the running back came to their side, they put him on the ground. We don't have that anymore.
Throw this out there, man, real quick. Sam Darnold, $100 million. How about finding somebody like a C.J. Stroud and giving him $100 million?
He's gonna get way more than that.
He's gonna get way more than that.
He's gonna get way more. They don't already set the market, so it goes up from here. So, but if he keep having these good years, he gonna get paid a whole lot more. Yeah.
CJ and Jaden, guys, they're fixing to, like Jada talks about the NBA, where that younger class is fixing to take over the league.
Yeah.
These younger quarterbacks are getting ready to take over the league as far as being the face of the league, if I can say it that way.
Oh yeah, it's the quarterbacks league, and that's where this is your draft. I know a lot of people are hung up on Cam Ward, whatever, and probably be the first one coming out. Shadua has kind of dropped all the way down to the low first round, maybe early second round. But they still got some darn good quarterbacks coming out. And I know, and these guys are not getting a lot of fanfare. And I don't understand why, but man, you're talking about I'm not a fan of Quentin Ewers. Believe it or not, I'm a Texas fan, but I wasn't a fan of Quentin Ewers. But
I'm not
he
either.
balled in the combine. He really showed his strength, his arm in the combine. So you put him in the right situation, he can go. Like I say, Jackson Dart, Will Howard, and all these guys, So there's a lot of quarterbacks that's coming out. And either somebody going to have them a darn good backup quarterback. But 2 or 3 years down the line, I think the face of the quarterback is going to be shifting real quick. So what Jonathan's saying, bringing up the money when talking about athletes becoming a blurred line because better athletes can be worse than the team. Yep, you're right.
That's especially true for football, right? Especially true for football.
Wait a minute, G. Hold up, y'all. Coach, you want to take that?
Really?
I agree with
What are you smoking, John?
Especially in the picture. It looks like he blowing smoke, son.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. Oh, that's you know what? That's so far off. I'm not even going to address that. Yeah,
he said Bills are better than quarterback, but Prescott is better than Allen. Said Bills coach, Cowboys coach, Bills coach. He's my Sean McDermott is better than obviously outgoing Mike McCarthy. Yeah, so obviously, so we don't know what this new guy gonna do, but I still believe that Sean McDermott is better coach than this guy.
Yeah, I can't. I usually co-sign to a lot of things Jonathan says. I'm staying away from that one.
Josh Allen Dak is a third round quarterback, and he plays like a third round quarterback, but yet he plays more like a second round quarterback. We keep forgetting he's a third round quarterback, and I don't want to put too much emphasis on that because he is, has been an MVP candidate for several years at times. So you can't keep throwing it out there when you want to discredit Dak by saying he's a third round quarterback. But with that being said, Josh Allen just plays and approaches the game different. Right now,
his decision making is far superior than Dak's.
It's like he is a winner. He's going to find a way to win. Now, doggo, it's hard to get past Patrick Mahomes and AFC, but between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, these guys approach the game completely different. You know what I'm saying? So in Dak is a game manager. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are game changers. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Jack is a game manager.
Yeah, and J-Dub, we have this conversation a lot about professional ball players, the ones that we feel like can carry a team, and the ones that the public perception is they can carry a team. Okay, yeah. Josh Allen can put his team on his back and go win a football game. Okay, Dak Prescott cannot do that. I'm sorry. I love.
And both those statements have been proven over the last 2-3 seasons.
Now, I get what you're saying because obviously you're talking about the Jones organization and then the GMs they put before us because he is the GM. And then you start talking about the coaches, the line of coaches we have. We haven't had any great coaches. And I understand it's easy to make that statement that Allen plays better because the organization has better leaders. I can see what you, but at the end of the day, when I'm going the eye test, I'm talking about forget play calling. I'm talking about if Dak is given a bad play and Josh Allen is given a bad play, who will make the best of it better?
You got to make it work, son.
You got to make it work. Yeah. And Dak has had several opportunities to where he either throw the ball away or out of bounds or give it to the other team. Both guys make some tougher decisions, but Josh Allen with his legs, ever since Dak got injured, he's not running the way he used to. If he was still running pre-injury, then we can have this conversation. But ever since then, that leg injuries kind of put him in a box and marginalized him. So, that's just my opinion, G. He said because the Cowboys organization is falling.
I don't got Dak. I got Dak in the top 10.
No, he's not. And I'm going to put a log on that fire because it's burning too good not to. And that is this, okay? And I want to hear you guys comment on this. If you put a healthy Dak Prescott as the starting quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, and you put a healthy Josh Allen as the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, the Bills go as far as they've gone the last couple of years. The answer to that question is no. Are the Cowboys as bad as they've been? The answer is no, it's not.
Right. That okay.
Ooh, heat flying. Look at him getting red.
I see it, boy. He shut me down.
I love me some Jonathan G, but man, me and you gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
So just in, Cowboy just made another move in free agency. They just re-signed their kicker, Angler.
He's a beast, Brett.
I can't find the terms of the. Let me see. Can I pull up ESPN because they just came up.
You were going to say that they just signed, got Roger Staubach and Tony Dorsett signed.
We were all really concerned about the kicker, just so y'all know.
He said,
hey,
okay, fair enough. I'm done. I'm not going.
Hey, Jacob, they are being aggressive this year.
They are being aggressive. We got to get that kicker locked up.
He said, if he was only, hear me out, if he was only taught by a kindergarten teacher versus me, who was an Ivy League education, who would make better decisions?
Yeah, but a lot of that comes down to instinct and gut plays, and sometimes the teaching. I mean, I get your point, and you got a good point, but I still don't agree with your overall thesis.
But in G, and I get what you're saying. Remember, we talked about this, and like I said, I'm not going to never discredit you for or try to challenge you in who you pick. But once again, that's your criteria. But what I will say is this: when you start looking at and comparing players or comparing GOATs or who's better at the position than the next player, we cannot throw out life situations and say, oh, just because this person was handed this and this person was handed that, and just say, oh, this person would have. That's hypothetical. We can't do that. Because this person played in the era where the talent was less than the talent now, this person wouldn't be able to survive in this era. What we do know about greatest players is that they adapt. Straight up. That's what I look at in modern times. And so whatever made Wilt Chamberlain good at his day, regardless of the level of talent in NBA, is that he adapted to be the greatest. So with that mentality, I cannot with good conscience say that he wouldn't be able to survive in this era because great players adapt. Just like we can't say that LeBron wouldn't be able to play in the 90s because they was more physical. Great players adapt. LeBron James will be beasting in the 90s if he came out in the era. So when we start talking about Ivy League education, stuff like that, I'm sorry. All that plays in the part. That's his life. That's what he was dealt with. So when you get to the gridiron, you have to adapt. We can't keep using those excuses or hypotheticals. You got to figure it out.
That's right.
And there's nobody more that wants Dak to be the guy more than us three. All three of us.
Yeah, we live here.
We want Dak to be that guy. We want him to be that guy. That's the hardest part, the hardest pill to swallow.
So I mean, yeah, and like I said, and yeah,
we can beat up on the death, fellas.
Yeah. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Of course, Allen's playing better. He's in a better situation. At one time, he wasn't. Matter of fact, last year, at the beginning of the season, we did not know who one wide receiver is. G, let's talk about it. He didn't have a star wide receiver. The option was gone to Houston. He made a darn $60 million deal out of Shakir this year, who we didn't know anything about. So just call it what it is. So I mean, you can't say he was in a better situation. I don't care how much heart and much Volkswagen has. It won't beat a Ferrari. That's kind of
you put a jet engine in it, it will.
Hey, I get what you, G, man. We can talk offline. But last rule of business, man, before we go, man, y'all listen, I had an honor to meet a man that just really shocked me. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to get a picture. And I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance to invite him to the show because I was starstruck. But y'all know who this guy is right here. How many of you guys know that guy right there?
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Hey. Don't be talking about the pride of Ouachita Baptist State. Don't be talking about Ouachita State. Yeah, don't be Ouachita Baptist State.
You talking about, man, one of the nicest men you'll ever meet. I'm sitting in Papados on Sunday with my wife. We just left the Mavericks game. We're sitting there eating. And I noticed this figure behind me, but I didn't want to be awkward and keep turning around and looking, right? But he seemed familiar. Didn't quite make it out, but he seemed familiar. And as he got ready to get up and leave, he tapped me on the shoulder. Don't know me for Adam. And he said, tight end or defensive end. And I'm like, what? At that point, I thought he was just some old crazy old man. He said, tight end or defensive end. Then he started laughing. I said, sir, I passed out the water bottles. I'm sorry I didn't play football. And he had such a beautiful laugh. He started laughing, and that's when he introduced himself. And I say, oh, my God, man, wow, this is crazy, y'all. If y'all know who this is a Cowboys safety, Cliff Harris, who's a Hall of Famer, also in the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor, man. Awesome guy, man. 2-time Super Bowl winner, man. He's been to Super Bowl 5 times and won it 2 times with the Cowboys. I mean, he's just an awesome man, just a beautiful personality, man.
So cool.
Cliff, if you watch this podcast, man, thank you, man, for making my day. Like I said, yeah, I was on my fanboy stuff. I didn't get a chance to. I was sitting there just grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah. Number 43 in your program and number 1 in our hearts, man.
Yeah, he's an Arkansas boy too. Didn't he have an award named after him in the lower division? I think he does.
I believe so. Yeah.
And Jay, remind me, what city in is it? Arkadelphia, where Wichita Baptist is.
Yeah. But I think he's from Fayetteville. I think he's from up north. I think he's from there. But Wichita Baptist is in Arkadelphia.
Okay, yeah, that's where he went to school. And then there's another college right across the street from Wichita Baptist. Jay, also another. I can't remember the other college.
Southern Arkansas is in Magnolia.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else is in.
Oh, good. Hey, but EC, that is totally cool.
You
Especially
talking
being as a guy that was a young kid growing up idolizing him. You kidding me?
Awesome. You know, my wife, she's sitting there like, did you invite him on the podcast? I'm like, no, I didn't get a chance to let it come out. I'm sorry. I told him, think about it. I told the man I passed out water bottles when he asked me, was I a tight end? I could have lied. I should have said something. Yeah. Tell the Cowboys to call me. So y'all put that on notice, Dallas Cowboys. If y'all need somebody to get paid, hey, Cliff Harris vouched for me. So
that'd have been a better statement if you just said, y'all need somebody to hand out water bottles.
I bet you Cliff could be a heck of a defensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
Oh man. I bet he bet he could, man. If he wants to.
But he's too smart for all that. So
he's enjoying his life, man. The dude, the whole time he was sitting there eating, he just enjoying his life. Him and his wife was there, man, just sitting there and just enjoying life. I don't think he's even close to the game right now. Just enjoying his life. Because
awesome.
Some people can't go out in public like that. At Papa Do's out all places where it's commoners hang out. But yeah.
Well, I'm surprised they let you. I'm surprised that you go out in public like that, man. Because I mean, people aren't hitting you up for your autograph and stuff, man.
Well,
not yet, but we trying to get him there. We trying to get him there.
I lost a lot of muscle, man, when I started doing keto to let me lower my sugar. But before then, when I was all bulk and big and buff, oh man. I mean, people swear up and down I play football. I was like, my God, I just work at Texas Instrument. That's all I do. I'm not you know what I'm saying? And I didn't have a podcast then. I would have told them, hey, come to the podcast. But y'all, man, that's all our time for today, man. It's been awesome, man. Coach D, you got any final words for the people?
I do just two things real quick. 16 days from today, Major League Baseball opens up, which is exciting. Number two, guys, if you haven't yet, everybody that's listening and out there and a fan, get your men's and women's March Madness brackets after they're getting ready to announce, that and
Sunday.
And it's going to be fun. It's like Jada said, this is a really fun time of the year to be a sports fan. So that's all.
What you got, Jada?
But bro, the only thing I'm gonna say is something. I know baseball is either you're a fan or you're not. It's a weird sport, right? Because it is long. Sometimes it can be boring. Something that we have been asking for at least a decade, if not more, is a way to keep the umpires accountable for their nonsense calls. And spring ball in 13 stadiums this year, they have instituted a challenge for the ball strike. And each team gets 2. They found that it only adds 17 seconds per challenge, so we're not making games longer. They show it back immediately. Only 3 people can instigate a challenge: the batter, the catcher, or the pitcher. So managers ain't in it, umps ain't in it. It goes straight to the big screen. I think this is something we've been asking for a long time, and I think it's going to be positive for the game. And it's a compromise because I'm for a computer system calling all balls and strikes, but I'm kind of radical in that way. And this is a happy median, and I'm super excited for it because we've been asking for it for so long.
That's awesome.
All right, there you have it. My final words are simply, y'all tune in next Tuesday at 6:00 p.m. right here on the FairWeather Fan channel, man. Please, before you go, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, leave comments, but join the conversation. Y'all, this has been your boy along with J-Dub and Coach D-Way, man. It's been a pleasure coming to your homes tonight. But for now, we are out.